Hi, everybody, and welcome to Think This Way, the Rick Mummey podcast. Glad you joined us this time. Thank you so much. I'm back in Lafayette recording this, and we had a fun time talking to a band in its infancy. It's not very often you get to talk to a startup organization, but the folks we're going to talk to this evening have just joined their considerable talents together in a trio, and well, we'll talk to them about how they're getting to know each other and what's going to happen next for the Jack Dawsons right here on the Rick Mummey podcast. A quick reminder, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and like our Facebook page, which is Think This Way, the Rick Mummey podcast. That's the name of that page. Here's our talk with the Jack Dawsons.
I should say a brief word about live streaming etiquette. As we look at the camera, I want to look at him so bad down here, but if we look at him, it looks better for us.
I know, I want to look at the screen rather than the camera all the time.
Right.
Very difficult. Okay, we'll work it out, though. People don't seem to mind one way or the other, so that's great. So here we are with the Jack Dawsons, and let's just start out. I'm going to start out, just introduce everybody. Hilary Paige,
Hey.
Evan Grubbs.
How you doing?
That leaves that elderly gentleman in the background there. Oh, that's Garry. Hey, Garry.
Hey, Rick.
Garry Smith is a keyboard player extraordinaire and has been around for quite a little while. And we'll get some of Gary's story about getting together with these other two and forming the trio, the Jack Dawsons. And Evan, I know absolutely that you named the band after the Australian rules football player, Jack Dawson, right?
Of course, it's my favorite. People think that I'm into rugby, but I'm really into footy.
Into footy, that's right. You know, and footy, people should know about footy. It used to be when ESPN first started, they didn't have any contracts with any major sports. So they showed like old home run derby clips from the 60s, like shows from the 60s, like here's Henry Aaron against Ernie Banks in a home run derby. And they showed Aussie rules football. And that's when I got into it. And it's exactly the kind of sport that you would invent in a penal colony.
Well, we'd like to play there if they're offering. We'd like to go there.
Captive audience.
Down under. They would have you. They seem like Canadians with a little more oomph, though, like Australians, like happy Canadians.
Right.
Kind of like that. But Jack Dawson is really, that's the character Leo DiCaprio plays in Titanic, right?
That's right. I was trying to think things that are as memorable as possible that will resonate with as many people as possible. And Jack Dawson came into my head. So the Jack Dawsons, it was open. It's mine.
Yeah, it's great to find a band name that's open. Sometimes it's amazing what's taken out there.
Right.
That's so true.
I heard one time I heard a pair of disc jockeys I used to listen to a lot from Chicago, Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer. They're the ones. Steve Dahl's the guy that put on the Disco Sucks big sort of demonstration they had at White Sox Park where they blew up the field and had to forfeit a game because they were blowing up disco records.
Because they didn't like Ring My Bell? Come on.
They didn't like Steve's thing was just get rid of all of it. And so they were just blowing up records and things got out of hand. But I heard those guys reading from the Chicago Directory of Bands one time, and the names were unbelievable. There were some that were so foul, I can't imagine like you put it on a drum head, you know?
Right. Like Dr. Fine in the Gleat.
And the Gleat, and people ask what Gleat is, and I say, you don't want to know, really. Stop asking, because it's not a thing. You don't want to know that. You're perfectly welcome to go look it up, but I never tell anybody. So, but we found it. We found the Gleat name on my first wife. Was a graduate assistant in biology, and this guy was cleaning out his closet, and there was this big pie chart where you just turn the big part and then it would reveal the little slice, and it would talk about different diseases, and it gave slang names for the diseases, and one for one of the venereal diseases was the Gleat. So that's where that came from. But it's also some sort of plumber's adhesive.
Okay,
And,
sure.
also referred to effluent from a horse's nose is called that as well. So I don't know, but a lot tamer than Jack Dawson. And there was actually a Jack Dawson like in the manifest. Like there was somebody by that name on the Titanic, right?
Right.
Although not nearly as handsome.
Oh, of course. What?
He didn't have that Garry Smith kind of look to it, right? The actual guy, the actual dude. So Gary, let me ask you about getting together in this trio with Hilary and Evan. Had you worked with either of these two before?
Yes, I've worked with Evan for about 3 years in Jason Wells band.
Right. How's that coffee selling? Jason sells coffee.
I don't know.
I was just amazed to find out when he started doing that. Coffee. Wow, that's awesome. It's a great idea.
I'm coming out with my own cologne pretty soon. So.
Oh, yeah? What are you going to call that?
I'm not sure yet. I'm developing a whole clothing line, cologne, everything that I can do. I'm going to
Kate Winslet's Pits or something.
I know where you can get some shoes.
Ooh, Smith's Shoes, Lafayette, Indiana.
Hey, there you go. Smith Shoes, everybody. So, it's great to see people who are working and who work in the area and have done things on their own. I know, Hilary, you just did that What a Woman show at Digby's.
Yes, it was wonderful.
Yeah, that's a really good, Digby's in Lafayette is a really good location for live music. They've got an outdoor patio situation, and that, of course, that's coming to the end of its life, with this being, we're right in what I call fake fall. Like every season in Indiana has a fake end to it and then starts back up again. So like summer gets to the end and you have a little cool fall, and then you have some more summer for a couple of weeks and then fall. So this is fake fall we're in, but soon there won't be that much playing out on the patio. So, but Hilary, in terms of playing solo and playing in a trio, what are the challenges to working with these other two?
Well, first off, it's very easy to work with these two, so I'm appreciative of that. The hardest part is when
I was thinking maybe you'd pick somebody out and say, well, this guy's a prick, but other than that.
No, they're like
a little break.
They're so easy to work with. It's not ever an issue. But when you're playing by yourself, you can play however you want, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to like keep a tempo. But when you're playing with other people, you have to like feel the energy together. So moving into that in a small group was a challenge for me. I don't know how they felt about it because they're like used to working with each other.
They're looking embarrassed, so I wouldn't press them on it. And Evan, you have done a lot of stuff in the area on your own, and also with Jason Wells band, and so now you have this trio together. What brought the three of you together?
Well, I wanted to play easier listening music, and I knew Hilary. I met Hilary at an open mic in Lafayette, and she was playing really confidently. And I've been playing with Garry now for a while, and I played bass, and I got to know his keyboard playing very well. And over time, I got better as being a guitar player. And I thought, it's time for me to do my own thing. Garry, would you be interested in doing it? He said, yes, I'd be interested in doing it. And so we just sat down and thought about all the songs that the three of us know that we could pull off as easily as possible and put our own spin on it while we work on writing original music and putting together what we want to put into the future. Because coronavirus has shown me one thing, and that is if people are going to work, they're going to work. And if they're going to make things happen, they're going to make things happen. So I'm going to do that.
Right. Go out and make things happen. And I've heard a little bit of you guys together. The harmony is really nice. I heard some of the Tennessee whiskey, and it sounds like you guys have some chemistry vocally there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was part of putting this together. Is I'm an old choir singer. Hilary did theater and choir. Garry the same, and we've all been playing music our whole lives. So we have such a wide variety of musical taste that all kind of gels together in an interesting way. And one of the things I like to do is bring the old into the new. And Garry has a way of
Oh, see,
playing.
he went right to you, Gary. He said, bringing the old into the new, and he went right to you.
I caught that.
Right.
Yeah.
You bring the old into the new, and Garry has a style of playing that is, you either can or you can't play it, and he can, and people who can play watch him and they stare.
Yeah.
So I give him I'll say, Garry, play E minor to C, go, and he'll just know what to do. He'll play along with me perfect. He doesn't know that we're playing a modern pop song, doesn't bother him. And so I like to bring his old styles of playing into modern music in a way that's not being done. People complain about the music of the youth. They say it's too electronic. And I say, well, your imagination's not in it, because mine, I make, if you call it bad music, I make it sound good in my head, because I can imagine the way it would sound if I wanted it to sound that way. And that's kind of what I'm doing here, is making modern music in our own way.
I think people always complain about modern music, depending, whatever time frame you're in, whatever the modern music is, always. I know my dad talked about not being allowed to say jazz in his house.
Really?
And, having to sneak off with his Dave Brubeck and Stan Kenton, Miles Davis records and stuff like that, which he eventually gave to me. So when I was 4 years old, that was my music, like listening to Miles Davis and Charlie Parker and stuff. So when I got to grade school and they were singing Lightly Row, I thought, what the hell is this?
What's going on here?
White people.
Marilyn Manson of your day.
Yeah, they were in a way, and then in turn, my dad sat me down one time and asked me to explain what 25 or 6 to 4 meant to me from Chicago, because he was positive it was a drug song. And
of course.
I thought,
it's not.
Well, maybe it is, Dad. I hadn't thought about it that way, but now that you mention it, maybe I should just get high and think about it. I don't know. And
I was listening, but it wasn't related to that.
Yeah, and in his case, also in Dad's case, he used to have to go to particular record stores to get particular records, to get what they called race records, and to get the albums he wants. So the ability to expose oneself to so many different genres of music that we have right now is pretty special, I think.
Yeah, and also to go back in history as well and listen to those old records that our parents didn't have the opportunity to listen to them. And now we can go on YouTube and find things from 1902 on wax cylinder and just get down.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you're listening to you can go back and listen to the originals of what turned into Pat Boone and Elvis records.
Right.
Which have their own style and everything. And I hear what you say about Garry, and Garry, you really are able to play in a variety of different contexts with different kinds of bands. What makes you that flexible? Have you listened? Is it that you listen to a lot of music? How do you arrive at that thing where you can just go from a blues band to a rock band to a soul kind of thing? What gives you that kind of flexibility?
Made my mind up early as a player that if I was going to play jazz, I was going to play it as a jazz player. I was going to play rock as a rock player, blues as a blues player. So I really listened to what I was trying to play and stayed in those genres.
And sometimes it pays off. Did you tell these guys about when I gave you $1?
No.
Did you tip him? Where?
He was playing piano at what's the Baptist church there over by Taft. That was when Dr. Will's Gathering was using that church, and Garry played so fine I had to come up with a tip.
In church.
Yeah, so I got up and put $1 on the piano. Thank you, man. Good.
And he didn't tell me to keep my day job.
Good set.
Yeah.
Good church set, man. That was very good. So tell me about, Hilary, tell me the first thing the three of you did together, like rehearsing or whatever. The first thing you remember, it's music that you did together.
Like song-wise?
Yeah.
I think the first one was feeling good, like, because that's what I usually start my own solo sets out of. We really just started like compiling a whole list, like Evan said, of what to do. So there was so much after that that it was just like, oh, hey, can we do this? And can we do that? And yeah.
And that continues to this day. Can we do this? Can we do that? I'm going
Right.
to make you guys do songs tonight that we haven't talked about yet. So.
All right.
Good.
That's
you
what's
go.
fun about practice.
There you go. Those are the good ones. And you guys asked for some suggestions on, at least on Facebook. I don't know what you did on other social media with that. Did you incorporate any of those yet?
There was Claire Chula requested the Fray, and I could tell Gary to play this chord, that chord, and follow me, and we could pull it off tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, Claire gets what she wants then. What about Ode to Billy Joe? That was my suggestion. Bobby Gentry.
Yeah. Jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge.
That's right.
Okay. I have heard that once. Learning new songs in my old age is just not as easy as it used to be. I can either hear it and never forget it, or I can really not mute my telephone and ruin the whole interview. But harder to learn new songs now, Joe.
That's
It
one
can
thing.
be. I have trouble sometimes with songs that I wrote.
Right.
Like, it's really embarrassing to need the lyrics for something that you wrote. That's a function of old age, I think.
If Ozzy can do it, anybody can do it. It's okay.
Yeah, if Ozzy can do it. If Keith still knows what to play when, we all should be okay, right? Yeah, that's the chemistry that you have to really play together, to enjoy playing together. It's not just something that happens automatically, and it's not something that you can sort of work on that much. You kind of either have it or you don't.
Correct.
It seems to me. And so do you both play keyboards on any stuff you're doing? The two of you, Hilary and Garry?
We haven't played keyboard at the same time. It's sometimes I'll take songs that I want to hear done in a certain way that I want to do.
Yeah.
And he does the heavy lifting, because let's be real, he's amazing. So he does most of the keyboards.
Well, it seems an important thing to keep yourself fresh, particularly if when you're doing covers, is, as you said, Evan, to put your own spin on it.
Oh, right.
To not worry about an exact replication of what you're trying
Well,
to
so
play.
one of the reasons to play covers is to have an excuse to practice all the time. And I don't play the songs that I'm playing. I play what I want in the style of the song. I don't like to learn things properly because it's just better if I do it on my own way. And then I can take that and turn it into something new of my own, stop playing that song, and now I have a brand new song to work with. A lot of people have a lot of criticisms about playing covers, but I can't see why you wouldn't play the music of your time.
A lot of people have a lot of criticisms. And most of them have nothing to do with knowing anything about music. In fact, those people have the most criticisms. I'm sorry, sir. I love to hear everybody's opinion. You just don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Right. I bet Fred Schneider from the B-52s has no criticisms. I bet he's just fun.
Yeah. Well, the idea of putting your own spin on things, it really keeps things fresh, and keeps things interesting for yourselves as players, and you're also working on some original music, which is a good thing. What kind of do you tend toward any sort of genre when you're writing your own music? Let's start with you, Evan.
So as we've just come together, my idea is to have, ideally, I'll get to know these two, and then the album will write itself. The things that we say, the way that we express ourselves, the messages that we want to put forward as we talk more, as we play more, those things will just become apparent, and the album will kind of make itself. There's a way that we play, and the kind of songs that we're doing are leading us into a specific direction. It's a lot jazzier than I thought it was going to be initially. But I mean, the thing about a set list is you choose, you have to make decisions, and you can't do everything you want. So I think the first album, the first material that we write is going to be classic, and then we'll expand more on that, get more modern as time goes on. I write in the past, I write all the time. I don't release anything because it's just practice for the real events, and hopefully that'll be coming within the next year. We'll have a whole product, we'll have album, we'll have DVD. Well, I don't know if they watch DVDs, but we'll have visual content to go along with it. And you can
Some
find
sort
that
of
all
physical representation of the music, whatever that is by then.
Right, that's right.
We've got Cube, and it's like a little sugar cube or something that plugs into something. Orb. Right. We recorded that on Orb. And Gary, Evan says things are jazzier than he thought they would be. Is that because of you? Is that from you?
Probably a little bit of influence there.
It's not.
It's not.
Guess who did it?
Guess who did it?
Guess who? It wasn't Gary.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is it? This
she
jazz
did
thing.
Thrown under the bus.
There you go.
She made it a little more jazzy.
We're
going to do all that jazz.
There you go. Oh, well.
I threw that right in.
Fosse. That's good. That's awesome. As long as you have jazz hands at the ready, you can do that. That's a good.
Always.
Oh, I'd have $2 for Gary if he did jazz hands at something. I would come up with $2. Hilary, talk a little bit about music that inspires you lately, or even just, as far back as you can remember, music that made you want to get involved in playing and performing.
So early on with performing, I knew I wanted to do it. My first experience on a stage was a dance recital at age 3, and I came running off the stage up to my parents like, I love this. I don't remember. That's just how the lore goes. So my parents kind of made a choice to surround me in more classic music. I remember when Charlotte Church was a thing.
Yeah, sure.
I listened to her when she came out, and then did the formal choir thing. So then when I became a teenager, I swung hard into the pop territory, and I've kind of chilled there. Now I really like Ariana Grande and Lana Del Rey. I still listen to all sorts of things, but yeah, I'm getting a lot of static on my headphones.
That's correct.
I'm probably more in Gary's time frame with my stuff, but I was like a jazz snob as a little kid until I saw how much the girls liked the Monkees.
Always the girl.
Then certain connections started, coming together in my head. Well, maybe I ought to look into pop music, since there seems to be an advantage with the ladies to know some of this stuff. So, this is 12 years old. I was heavily influenced by Mrs. Peel from the Avengers and Julie Newmar's Catwoman. It was just all about the women at that particular time. So I would have gotten into whatever kind of weird crap.
Whatever they were listening to, I would have listened to.
Yeah, I would listen to that. I dropped the snobbery. How about you, Gary? What's the first music that made you want to go play?
The first song I ever played live was "I'm Not Your Stepping Stone."
Oh, wow. Monkeys.
At the Sunnyside 7th grade talent show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
School is music in school is really a good thing. We had a few years back, they had a reunion for kids that had been I'm from Hobart, Indiana. Kids who had been in the music program in the 70s, basically. It was that many kids. And the band directors, the guys who were the band directors at the time we were in school, both made it to this reunion up there.
Wow.
And I said, you know, you can look around this park. There are other facilities, but there aren't any like geometry reunions going on. You know, if you're ever thinking about what sticks with people, I think music teachers have that sort of, and things that go on in school around music have that sort of effect that stuff really stays with you. I made my bones, my first ever sort of public thing was to sing. I was going to sing Moon River at the Foreman Elementary School talent show. And I walked in and looked at that room of like, what, 8-10 people. And it looked like Madison Square Garden. It just looked like it was just a sea, like I was at Wembley, like there's just a sea. And so I just turned around and walked out. She started to play and I just walked out. And I went down and I went to the little boy's room and I had a bloody nose and I was just emptying out. I was just like having some kind of weird stroke. And so my mom came in there and got me and we went home. And the next day, my dad was working the night shift or something. That's why he wasn't there. So the next day he says, hey, clown, term of endearment. I understand you had a rough time last night. I said, well, yeah, you know, I got a little scared. And he said, oh, you got scared? What of? I said, I don't know. I just walked in there and I got scared. I said, you play every weekend. You know, did you ever get scared? You ever get afraid to play? And he said, no. And I said, well, why not? He said, well, I don't give a shit how anybody thinks about my playing. Well, there you go. Certain amount of apathy about what the audience thinks can help, you know. To imagine them in your underwear is, I guess, the thing. And so you guys still have things coming up individually. Like Evan, you're playing at the Tap in West Lafayette coming up pretty soon.
That's right. This Saturday.
What after that? Do you know something after that?
So this Thursday I'm playing in Westfield at Grindstone on the Monon. Friday I'm playing at the Tap in Bloomington, Indiana, and the Saturday the Tap at West Lafayette. Any further in the future, and I would have to consult my calendar. I don't remember things very well.
Right. That's good. How about you, Hilary? What's coming up?
I don't have anything coming up. I just got off a little spurt of things, but I'm homeschooling my third grader right now. So
third grader?
Low key, yeah. So
how do you do that? You have to know things, I guess.
I got blessed with an awesome education, so I'm just projecting all of that onto him. I had amazing teachers. So.
Really, I had it easy. I just totally easy. My last year of school, I don't know even why I showed up. I didn't do a damn thing.
Probably didn't have
nothing. And I couldn't possibly have taught my kids from home. Although kids now, and she's a third grader, is that correct?
Yeah, she's a third grader. Yeah.
Third grader. So they're going to have these great stories about how rough they had it. I mean, my dad told me about walking to school every day until we put 2 and 2 together that he lived half a block from his school. We figured that out eventually. But they're going to have, I mean, all these COVID stories, and we had to be taught at home and use the TV for teachers and stuff. We used it for parents. So
yeah, it's wild.
What's the difference? Wow, homeschooling a third grader. Are you homeschooling anybody? Gary, are you homeschooling anyone?
My cat.
How's that going?
Good luck. Good luck with that.
Right. A dog would make sense. But.
Yeah, you know, there's some portion of the brain, and I wish I knew the names and stuff. There's some portion of the brain that forms intent and makes plans and feels good or bad about what has just happened. And you know, simians have a certain size. Humans have a fairly big portion of the brain for that. Simians have a smaller part. Dogs have a smaller part, but they still feel bad. Cats don't have that part of a brain at all. I mean, it's not in there. It's not in there. So they're just not. They're not wired to give a shit. They don't really. They don't really care. We took my cat and got my. Years ago, we had a cat. We took the cat and got the cat fixed, and brought the cat home. And the cat walked immediately over to my sneakers and peed on them. They just don't care. I still came out on top because what I was losing a pair of, I could get another pair of, unlike him. So cats don't care. And so for Jack Dawsons, what should we look for next? You're going to be recording some stuff?
That's right. So right now we're in the development phase, and the idea is to start playing around the end of February, provided that the future of live music still exists. Who knows what the future has in store for us in these wild times. But the idea is to practice, get to know each other musically, run through the music, record it, throw it away, record it, throw it away, get better and better and better at what we do, and then find out who we are in that process, and then move forward from there, start playing in February. And then the sky's the limit.
Well, it's a lot easier since you're not physically using tape. You don't have that.
I'm looking for a tape recorder. I'm looking for a tape recorder to record bass with, because you can overdrive that real nice. So if you got one for cheap, consider me.
Well, I'll put the word out there for you. Somebody always, anymore these days, somebody has something cheap, no doubt. I'm sure. I'm sure, for reel to reel. So in the development stage, so we're looking forward to when those things come out, and I'm going to put your social media stuff in the comments so people can check that out, and just to be looking for the Jack Dawsons, named after the fabulous Australian rules football player.
Awesome. JackDawsons.com, thejackdawsons.com is ours. It's so easy. You can go check that out, and all of our information will be there, our upcoming shows. And throughout this time, as we do new things, I'm going to record little clips and release these on our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and so on and so forth. So keep an eye peeled for that.
We'll be able to hear that and see you guys individually too at your gigs when you're out doing solo things. And so we'll look for all of that. And we thank you very much, Hilary, Garry, Evan. Thank you so much, you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And have a good practice. Gary's getting tired. Get going.
Oh.